By the time Kenya was gaining her independence on December 12, 1963, and becoming a republic 12 months later, Tom Mboya was already a household name. It is reported that it is Tom Mboya who planned the design of the Kenyan flag, as well as the first ever master plan for the city of Nairobi. He was Kenya's first minister in charge of economic planning and development, and while in charge, he crafted the crucial sessional paper number 10 on Harambee and principles of African socialism, a paper that was adopted by Parliament in 1964 and provided a model of government based on African values.
Expression cannot just be defined in one word because it represents a lot of things. It represents, for example, our belief that in Africa, the kind of economic, social, and political institutions that make sense must find their meaning in the African setup. That any new organization which we bring up must be based on some traditional concept to life. It must not just be imported from outside. For example, we are clan-minded, we are tribal-minded, in that we are communal in our concept of life. Now, it is necessary that our new institutions are based on this approach, what we have called in our definition of African socialism, mutual social responsibility. That is, that a person is not just an individual, he's part of a system, he's part of a community. He has responsibilities within that community.
It is reported that it is Tom Mboya who planned the design of the Kenyan flag, as well as the first ever master plan for the city of Nairobi. He was Kenya's first minister in charge of economic planning and development, and while in charge, he crafted the crucial sessional paper number 10 on Harambee and principles of African socialism, a paper that was adopted by Parliament in 1964 and provided a model of government based on African values.
But in turn, the community has also got responsibility to him. They have duties towards him and his children. This is a very important concept. The other concept is that every person has got equal value and worth. Although some of our people in traditional life had a lot of wealth, but their wealth was not really belonging to them as individuals. They held it almost in trust for the rest of the community. And when any of the members of the community got into trouble, or when he wanted cows to pay dowry, he always looked to this as a position which he could also have access to, so that there is this element of acknowledging individuals as equal humans in the community.
These video clips paint a picture of a man who had the interests of Africa at heart. Mboya, the Pan-Africanist. This is the Solidarity Building in Gikomba, the headquarters for the giant central organization of trade unions, KOTU, which was constructed courtesy of Mboya's mobilization skills. However, as fate would have it, Mboya was murdered in cold blood on a cold Saturday of July 5th, 1969. He was assassinated on Government Road, now named Moi Avenue, in broad daylight as he was leaving a pharmacy by the name Chani. His fatal shooting threw the country into a panic mode. Medics at the Nairobi hospital raced against time to try and save his life, efforts that were all in vain. The veteran trade unionist come politician succumbed. Trade unionist Shem Oluoch was a personal friend to the late Mboya.
In his speech and in his mind, he wanted complete freedom for the black man. And I think some people felt that when Kenyatta goes, he would be the next president.
I had already gone back to his lands, and then immediately the 2 o'clock bulletin news on the KBC tells us Tom has been assassinated. People are sick. and particularly people from Western Kenya. They caused havoc more even than people from Nyanza. Fought along. One of them who led the fight against the police was called Mwinami from Western. He was arrested because of causing that problem. And in that year, the first member of parliament for Lurambi South, the late Brown Tsuma, moved a motion in parliament for the government to tell the whole world why was Tom Mboya killed. So you can see it really hit the Western Kenya more than any other community. And Mboya had friends in every area of Kenya. So that is why it is not only in the trade union movement, but also on the political scene. Some of us up to today, what we are doing, we are just trying to follow the footsteps of the late Tom Mboya and seriously and keenly reading his works. And that is what has helped some of us to propel us to higher positions in labor movement globally. Because Mboya was an authority on issues of global industrial relations practice. So he did a commendable job, and I think if Tom would have died, he would have been now a retired president for the entire continent of Africa. He was a bright, brilliant, and he married also a very brilliant wife, Pamela. Pamela was good, was motherly, friendly, and Pamela, there was no another person that would have assisted Tom more than Pamela. When I took over Kotu, Pamela came to me and she said she has a feeling I will do work as better than any other trade union leader in Kenya she has ever seen. And she came with a portrait, the portrait that the family loved, the portrait that resembled the really Tom Mboya, and the portrait Mboya himself had loved it. She brought it to me, and she also told me that I want to show you in the office where Tom was sitting. That office had been designated to our chairman. But she said, no, this is not chairman's office. This was where Tom was sitting, and I want you to sit here.
His assassination remains a mystery for a man of sharp intellect, a man who is said to have had the ear of founding father, President Jomo Kenyatta. Political tension remained high throughout the mourning period, and the climax was on this day when all hell broke loose. Chaos broke out at his requiem mass in the capital Nairobi as police and Mboya supporters clashed outside the Holy Family Basilica as the mass went on. The late President Kenyatta witnessed the chaos. The country was in pain. It had lost a promising son, an icon. Coincidentally, all the four great friends were assassinated in the 60s. President John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22, 1963. His brother Robert Kennedy was fatally shot on June 5, 1968, after winning California's Democratic primary and died at the hospital while undergoing treatment. 2 months earlier, on April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in Memphis, Tennessee, and also died in hospital. Then, a year later, on Saturday, July 1969, Kenya's Tom Mboya was also assassinated at the age of 39.
We lost a father. Our country suffered a much bigger loss. It lost a hero, an advocate, and a champion.
I remember that particular midday afternoon in Kitui School. Everything seemed to have come to a standstill. That was how powerful the name Tom Joseph Mboya was, right across the Kenyan nation.
We want to say that Thomas Joseph Mboya continues to live and will continue live forever in our country.
It appreciates the need to honor Kenyans who have served our country with dedication.
In 2011, the Grand Coalition government of President Mwai Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga unveiled a Tom Mboya monument along Moi Avenue, a few meters from the spot where he was assassinated. 2019 marks 50 years after Mboya's assassination. Kenyans can only wonder what kind of leader he would have been for Kenya and indeed Africa had he lived longer.
So he did a commendable job, and I think if Tom would have died, he would have been now a retired president for the entire continent of Africa. He was a bright, brilliant, and he married also a very brilliant wife, Pamela. Pamela was good, was motherly, friendly, and Pamela, there was no another person that would have assisted Tom more than Pamela.
Duncan Hemba, KTN News.